What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. I'd like to begin this video by giving a huge shout out to TCG Player for the opportunity to be a part of their affiliate program. If you want to help a content creator out, all you have to do is click on the TCG Player link down below, and it won't cost you anything either. Last night, we got a glimpse at Konami's animation studio, which was pretty awesome, but we also got the reveal for the first new cards from Infinite Forbidden, and it happens to be a full-on Exodia archetype, which is really cool. The first card is the Caveman that awoke after a millennium. It's a retrain of, I think it's called Sengenjin, and it reads, cannot be destroyed by monster effects. You can only use each of the following effects of the Caveman that awoke after a millennium once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you can place this card face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. If this card is a continuous spell, you can pay 2,000 life points or reveal one Millennium Cross in your hand, special summon this card, then you can search yourself out a Millennium Monster or one Sengenjin from your deck to your hand. And as long as you have Caveman plus any other monster, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm just going to use Millennium Fiend Reflection because otherwise I wouldn't be able to read it to you guys throughout this combo, but it's an illusion monster that reads, if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle, and you can only use each of the following effects of Millennium Fiend Reflection once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you can place this card face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. Then if your opponent activates a card effect while this card is a continuous spell, you can special summon this card, then you can gain life points half of the attack of one monster on the field. Now we're going to use the effect of the Sengenjin in order to place it onto the field, continuous spell, and then we'll use its effect in order to add ourselves our next new card, Golem that guards the Millennium Treasures. And I don't remember the original one of this one, but it reads, the activation of your Millennium Cross cannot be negated. It's also a level 6 rock, and you can only use each of the following effects of Golem that guards the Millennium Treasures once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you can place this card face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell, so you can already see that's a recurring theme. And if this card is a continuous spell, you can pay 2,000 life points or reveal one Millennium Cross in your hand, special summon this card, then you can search out the field spell Temple of Stone Slabs from your deck to your hand, and I'll read over that one momentarily as we're going to be searching it out very shortly, but we're going to pay 2,000 more life points so that we can do just that. And this is kind of similar to the Gate Guardian field spell, regards to being able to place one monster from your hand, face up the spell and trap zone as a continuous spell, then place one Millennium Monster or one Sengenjin from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. So basically just the ability to get the monster onto the spell and trap zone that your deck is trying to get to. And you do it during the main phase, of course, but you can only use this effect of Temple of the Stone Slabs once per turn. If a face-up Millennium Monsters and or Sengenjin you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can place it face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell instead of sending it to the graveyard. So we're going to continue by using the effect of the Temple, and we're going to place Illusion Monster, the Fiend Reflection, in order to get our next new card, Shield of the Millennium Dynasty, and this is a retrain of the Millennium Shield, and this is a retrain of the Fiend I forget the name of it, it's a mirror card, but it's a really old one. The Millennium Shield retrain reads, cannot be destroyed by a spell trap effects. You can only use each of the following effects of Shield of the Millennium Dynasty once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you can place this card face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell, and if this card is a continuous spell, you can pay 2,000 life points or reveal one Millennium Cross in your hand, special summon this card, then you can add one Millennium Cross from your deck to your hand. So we're going to do just that, as we're going to pay the 2,000 life points, get pretty low on life points here, as we're going to add the Millennium Cross. The whole deck centers around it, similarly to the Gold Sarcophagus of Light for the Yugi deck, but it's also something that you want to keep in hand until you activate it at the end, and there may even be some hands where you choose to keep this in hand, but I'll get to that after I read it. You can take 5 Forbidden 1 monster cards from your hand, deck, and or face-up field and show them to your opponent, then special summon one Phantom Exodia Incarnate from your extra deck, then shuffle any face-up monster cards you control into the deck, except Exodia monster cards whose original level is 10 or higher. Sengenjin and Millennium monster cards, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of this turn, but you can normal summon set. After activation, shuffle this card into the deck instead of sending it to the graveyard. There is an option where you can potentially link away all your monsters if you have another engine to extend beyond this. Probably make like some IP Masquerena SP boards with some other things that you can do. I really haven't thought too much into what you would be able to do with that, as I'm just trying to show off the new cards here. We are going to end up using the Millennium Cross so that we can get through this combo, and we're going to reveal our 5 Exodia pieces, put them back into the deck. We're also going to have to put all our monsters back into the deck as well, as we'll then be able to bring out our next new card, and this is the Phantom Exodia Incarnate. It's a fusion monster that reads, it takes 5 Forbidden 1 monsters, which we just brought out via the Millennium Cross and showing them, but cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Once per turn, if this card battles during damage calculation quick effect, you can make this card gain attack equal to your current life points. Once per turn, when a spell or trap, card, or effect is activated, quick effect, you can negate the activation. Once per turn, during your end phase, you can set 1 Exodo, spell or trap from your deck, or you can set 1 Obliterate from your deck. Then, during your standby phase, once per turn, you lose 1,000 life points. Deck can be very costly life points wise, but you see that we do have a way to get some life points back with the Millennium Fiend Reflection, and if you do open the Millennium Cross, it means that you're not paying any life points once you reveal it, so that is important to note, as we're now going to go into the end phase, and then you can bring out either of your spell traps, whether it be the Obliterate, or one of the new ones, Raging Hellfire Exodo Flame, and this one reads, if you control a level 10 or higher Exodia monster, destroy all cards your opponent controls. You can banish this card from your graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, then activate one of these effects. Add 1 Forbidden 1 monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Shuffle up to 5 Forbidden 1 monsters from your graveyard and or banishment into the deck. You can only use each effect of Exodo Flame once per turn. The quick play spell Exodo Blaze is kind of similar to that, where 1 level 10 or higher monster you control with Exodia in its original name gains these effects. You can pay half your life points, destroy as many cards in the spell and trap zone as possible, so basically the Heartbeat's Feather Duster equivalent. Then equip 2 Forbidden 1 monsters from your hand and or deck to this card, each as an equip spell. That gives it 2,000 attack as well. Also, you cannot activate other cards or effects for the rest of this turn. So some really cool cards here, because just the blowout potential that you have via the board wipes, then you have stuff like the spell and trap negation that you get via the fusion. You have the ability to swarm the board without even having to go into your fusion and being able to play other engines with this, at least potentially, but then you also have a consistent engine that doesn't take too much to get going, along with potential disruptions that you can also get via cards like Obliterate, or the ones that you see via the new one. Now, the template that I wanted to show off is just basically everything at 3 that isn't the Exodia pieces and the trap cards. Then I also would like to talk about the legendary Exodia Incarnate. I think that this is probably a brick for the deck and something that won't see play, but I just thought that it was interesting because it's something that could be unaffected by other card effects, and then having the ability to gain 1,000 attack for each Forbidden one in your graveyard. It could be a way to overcome some of your opponent's problem cards, but then we also have the final card, Millennium Moon Maiden, and this is another retrain of Moon Maiden, I think it was called, and if this card battles a monster, neither can be destroyed by that battle. You can only use each of the following effects of Moon Maiden once per turn. If this card is in your hand, you can place this card face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell, and if your opponent activates a card or effect while this card is a continuous spell, you can special summon this card, and if you do, your opponent cannot target level 5 or higher illusion and spellcaster monsters you control with card effects this turn. Kind of obvious as to why I'm not really playing it, where it's not really benefiting us in any way except protection, which I don't think will come up too often. Maybe you can play it as a 1-of, but I do think it is a 0 to 1-of. I think everything else you really do want at 3 besides the traps though. Then I do think that the quick play is probably better off for the side, as you are locked out of using other cards or effects for the rest of this turn, so that is kind of scary. For everyone who's made it this far, I'd like to thank you for watching and for the 700 plus subs. I truly appreciate your support, and now that we've monetized the channel, giving us access to supers and memberships, means that more awesome stuff is on the horizon. To get the channel membership, just click on the description below, and there will be a link that takes you there. You'll also notice a free Discord link that I've made for us too. If you want to support me as a content creator, even if you can't donate supers or get a membership for the channel, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons help a lot too. For those wondering, I do plan on making updates to the channel as the support on the channel grows. Anyways, I hope to see you on the next one. It's Bones, signing out.